Hello, hello, amigas, and welcome to Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast. And today I have a lovely soul, beautiful, kind, so generous. She's very busy, and you're going to know that in a minute how busy she is. Her name is Loriann Serna, and she's an event planner, producer. She's an extraordinary woman. She is super involved in Hollywood. And we're going to get into that very shortly. But before, I really wanted her to come in, welcome her. And for you all amigas out there who want to be in the event planning space, who are very creative, this is for you, amigas. She is freaking amazing. I'm so glad that I have this opportunity to have her in front of me. And so that we're going to discuss everything about her, how it all started, and where she's at and where she's heading. So without further ado, this is Loriann. Welcome, Loriann. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited, so excited to speak today and have some wonderful girl chat and get into all the fun stuff with you. So thank you very much for having me on the show.
Oh, my pleasure. It is super my pleasure. So Loriann, oh my goodness. So I know that you were born in and raised in Pasadena, California, and we have audience all over the world listening to this podcast. So why don't you let us know, what is your family background? I mean, it's I know you were born here in California, but where's your parents from? Because you have a Spanish surname, so I'm wondering, I'm like, are you Latina? Because a lot of Latinas listen to my podcast, but also we have other cultures and ethnic backgrounds listening.
Of course. No, I am. I am mixed. My mom is Caucasian and my father was Caucasian and Mexican. I was raised mostly by my mom. So I grew up actually in South Pasadena, and she was a single mom and she remarried when I was in 4th grade. And I think there was a lot of really great things that came out of that. I think one of the biggest things that kind of drives me is the way that my mom always had to work 2 jobs and communicated that to me from a very young age. So without realizing how that impacted me, it was a big factor for me in terms of always doing more, working harder, working more, and then becoming a young mother myself, not having any other option. It was like from the get-go, this is how my mom did it, and this is how I'm going to do it. Wow. So I was raised mostly by my mom's family. Later in life, I was very lucky enough to still have my aunt on my dad's side around and my grandma and grandpa G, who were amazing and wonderful to me until they passed away. So we've definitely had part of my dad's family in my life, but again, it was mostly my mom that raised me, and I'm very, very thankful for her. And we stayed here the whole time, always born and raised, always in this area. So it's kind of everything that I knew for a very long time.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Oh, my goodness. So you were saying about your mom being a single mom working 2 jobs and you seeing this every day, because I know that as a working mom, it's like we are constantly thinking, oh my God, our kids are alone or they're being raised by other people. And how did that work with you? Like, your mom is a single mom. Who raised you at home while she was working?
Well, one of her best friends helped me a ton. And then, and as I mentioned, she remarried, but my mom always had my grandma and grandpa that helped as well. And they helped me, I stayed weekends with them for, a lot, because she worked at night. She worked in a restaurant, and during the day, she worked at the Department of Water and Power. So I have really fond memories of them. And my grandmother was a historian. So it was really neat just learning a lot about the city that we grew up in. We all went to the same high school. And my grandfather was in the fire department. So there was it was a fun time growing up. I never would have known anything different. And it wasn't until I was older that it was different. That was just my normalcy, right? Like it was just different because it was what was normal for me and not for someone else, but it worked. And I think that's also impactful because for me, even though I'm not a single mother and, Herrick and I are married and have our children, it takes a village. So it's okay to ask for help. And that's what I do all the time. And it's not just one person that helps us. After COVID happened, Veronica, our nanny, we didn't have help. And when we came back to work, I needed all the help. So it was kind of like, okay, whatever family member can jump in, our older daughters jumping in, Veronica jumping in every now and then, takes a village. And we just had to kind of get past worrying about those things. I couldn't have the mom guilt. I just had to be like, you know what, this is what I'm doing because I'm doing this all for them. So,
Yeah, no, I know. And I can see, I know that the mom guilt can happen, but at the same time, it's like, I read a statistic that when you have little girls and they see the mom working, that is a huge influence in their lives. And
for sure.
and that they become more self-starters, right? And wanting to emulate that in their lives as well. So that's bravo to you, my lady.
It makes them well-rounded. And there are times, like currently Luca, our youngest, gives me a really hard time when I have to leave. And to be fair, she sees me, we have a luxury of having our own schedule so we can work around things like school performances and all that. But again, going back to COVID, this year it's just taken such a toll on everybody, especially the young ones who missed some of that cognitive learning and some of that socialization and just things that we really took for granted with our other children. And it kind of reformatted for me in my mind how I want to raise her and what I want around her and what programs I want her to be involved with. So I think all positives came out of it, but for those very few months, it was just really, really weird, for lack of a better word.
I bet. And I know my daughter, oh my God, I'm so happy she's going to school now.
Me too. Frankie's back at school and it's just exhale, right?
Breath of fresh air, because believe me, oh my God, having her on that laptop or that Zoom every day.
All day.
And then you can't really go out to play because you can't be around your friends. So that's another craziness.
And we still have to work, you still have to work from home. So
right.
I think families did an incredible job of getting through that and coming out of it. It's all looking brighter, bigger, brighter, and better right now. And I couldn't be happier to see these functions and these schools doing things, even if it's just in a smaller fashion. It just makes me feel so good for all of these young students that need the love and support from people outside their family.
Exactly, amiga. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Now, you are freaking creative. I've seen the work, online, obviously, because I haven't gone to an event, but you are really creative. And where does that creativity come from?
I honestly don't know. I think that, we all have strengths and weaknesses, and there's some things that we're great at and others that we're not. I'm not creative in any capacity when it comes to like my personal style or even at home. I'm very much a minimalist, which is very funny because in my designs for work, I'm very, very over the top. I think part of it is creativity from always having to come from a frugal standpoint and be reasonable with money. I've always celebrated my children and I've always tried to go above and beyond for my family. So when I was younger and didn't have as much money, to do some of the things that I wanted. Is there ever enough? I don't know that there's ever enough money, right, to do the things you want, but I always wanted to be quite grand. And so I had to be creative as far as how I was going to make that happen. And I think that gave me a different perspective and helped me to think outside of the box. So as our business grew, I just kept taking that to another level. And I kept that mindset so that when I had a budget from somebody, I could really give them a full packaged celebration versus this is only what you're going to get with that and not be able to complete it. And it's just how my mind works now. It just comes to me, and there's some wonderful resources out there that of course always help. Scrolling through Pinterest or Instagram, you see something and it just kind of sparks something in you. But I think it's the same thing like anyone, like a chef who cooks and just has that ability. Some people really, really have that. And that's something that I admire in them. So I think it's just some really random gift that I was born with, and I have an amazing creative team that works with me. So we have an opportunity to bounce ideas off of one another. We whiteboard all the time. We communicate all the time, and it helps to expand my mind and ideas that I wouldn't have thought about as well. So, it's.
Did you also do events as a little girl? Like, were you like the person that said, "Mommy, I think this will look better if you put the
all the time. all the time. Yes, that was me. And I mean, I remember there was, I didn't have a lot of money to cook a big fancy dinner, but I wanted a dinner party. And so we had like spaghetti dinner parties and stuff, but it didn't matter because I think that, when you're together, togetherness invokes a feeling. And that's kind of the core in my business is, we celebrate people. That's what our tagline is. And it's true. And a lot of the things that I put into mind or place into these designs are meant to invoke a feeling and give people an experience. And that doesn't always have to mean that it's a high budget ticket item. It just means it's how you're surrounding them, how they're sitting, what they're eating on, like just little things that make it a little bit different or make it special. And what makes something special to one person doesn't make it special to someone else. So it's kind of just an opportunity to listen to the people that are hiring us, really listen to their likes and don't likes. I always ask them what they don't like first, so we get that out of the way. And then just kind of looking after what they want to do and kind of thinking about it, writing it down, and just coming up with something and hoping that they love it.
Oh my God. Well, believe me, of the things that I've seen online, I'm like, oh my God, how can you not love this? It is so beautiful. And you've worked with major players, like major celebrities. I remember I saw that you worked with the oldest child of the Kardashians. Courtney, yes, Courtney. Yes. And with her, what was it, the little pink, it was
Pretty Little Thing.
Pretty Little Pink. And I'm like, oh my God, how do you even conjure that? Amigas, you got to go online and check this out if you don't already know, but it's just
a really fun campaign. We wrapped a bus, a double-decker bus, and to get the campaign message out, we completely changed the outside of the nightclub with custom fabricated letters that glowed so that they could see them. We did this massive rose tunnel with a florist. It was a really, really fun project. That was about 4 years ago.
Oh my God. Now, how did that happen? Like, how do you get these people? Like, hey, I mean, I know that, when you start off in a business, like any regular business, you start off small. But I'm sure there must have been a point where it was like your name was so out there with the celebrities. Like, how did that come about?
Well, it's a relationship thing. And I talk about this frequently. And it's also a message that I pass along to my children. You meet someone with whatever industry, you're an attorney and someone has a great experience with you, or you're a doctor and someone feels comfortable with you. References and people speaking is what really works. It's what does it. So the way that you leave the feeling is the way that they're going to speak of you. And being mindful of that is top priority for me. We met Umar, the owner of Pretty Little Thing, from a mutual friend. And that mutual friend I met from us donating services to something for a charity. And it was something that was important to me. We really didn't have a lot of extra money to do it, but I wanted to do it. So we did. And from there, it stemmed an opportunity because she said, you did this for me and I'm going to do this for you. And then somebody saw our work and it kind of went from there. After that, as we started dealing with celebrities, and I want to add in there, we still do a lot of really, like we do school dances and community things and normal things as well. Our portfolio is everything, right? But they're just like anything. There's a lot of trust that comes with those responsibilities. There's a lot of information now in a world where we live. Everyone wants to post everything, and trust me, there's some things that I really want to share with the world that I can't, that we do. And I need to remember that this is our business and not just a social media business. It's a platform for talking about your business, but being respectful to proprietary information and people's safety is important. And a lot of the teams on these celebrity-driven teams run together or know each other well or call each other for favors, just like we do as amigas or moms or anybody else, right? Hey, I need something. Do you know someone? Oh, great. That's pretty much how it goes for everyone. So one just led to another and another. And some management companies manage several people across the board. So if you have an established relationship with them, it's always helpful. And it just kind of grew over time that way.
Wow. Oh my God. So you do charity events as well. You're heavily involved in that. And yes. The budget, I'm sure, because it is a charity, are you the person that also tries to locate vendors that will do things for free?
It depends. So it's a very fine line, when you're dealing with non-for-profit. And some I do, like for example, this week next week, we're helping a school out that wasn't able to have a prom or a grad party. And it's being funded by the ticket sales and by the parents themselves. So we're actually donating a ton of services, and many vendors that I reached out to all agreed to come on board. But I don't typically do that or ask them for free, because there's a lot of things that are involved with that. And I think that one of the biggest is labor, and this isn't something that anybody would understand if you've never been explained, right? So I can do something for free, absolutely, and I can donate lighting and sound and stage, but my team can't work for free. And legally, we do everything right, and that's one of the messages that I talk about. I always remind people, you have to be careful. We live in Los Angeles, we live in California. You need to protect yourself. You need to protect your staff. But also, I don't know what kind of financial place someone is in to ask them. So I will usually say, this is the budget that I have, or here's what we're working with, or what do you think you can do with this, and position it that way. Oftentimes, if it's a charity or something we're donating to the school, or the non-for-profit will already have people who are donors or participating, and we'll come in and work alongside them. So it just all depends, but there are certain circumstances where I will ask, and it just all depends on what it is and if it makes sense for everybody all the way around.
Wow. Yeah, no, I can imagine. I mean, I know sometimes, as a professional, they ask you, well, can you do an appearance for free? And as an attorney, it's like, whoa, there's a lot of at play here. Like,
Yes.
you can't just use your license to just, to support this person. Obviously, you want to support, but at the same time, you got to be careful.
Yeah, I want to help everybody, but I have to be careful.
I completely understand. And I'm sure a lot of amigas out there can understand, who work in the industry of business, who
Of
has
anything, or where you have a hard cost. There's true hard costs. You may want to help out and be willing to discount, but you can't eat the cost of food for 300 people. In our case, it's a little different, because most of the things that we have here, we do design and fabricate, but we own lighting and sound and things like that people need and can fund. A school dance, it helps them a lot, and it doesn't impact me too often. But again, it just comes back to labor. So in a case like yours, or with people in the service industry, time is still money, and it doesn't mean that you're not guided by a great moral compass, or that you don't want to do good, but how you choose to donate and do good is completely up to you as a woman and business owner. And how I choose to do good is up to me and a business owner, as a woman and business owner. And we can do it together, a lot of it, a little, but either way, it's still your decision. And I think that that's important when people try to, push for it. You can decide. It's your time, and time is money.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you. Oh my God, you are just such a blessing, I swear.
Oh, thank you. I'm a nervous wreck. I don't do these very often. Podcasts make me nervous. Zooms, I really don't like to speak publicly. I've done it once for a planner organization where there were a lot of students, but it freaks me out a little bit. So this is kind of good for my personal growth every time, to move past it also, and hope that I'm passing along some information that's valuable to people that take the time to listen and support you.
Yeah, truly valuable. Amiga, I can honestly say that every episode that I have produced, everyone has said it's been amazing, because there's a nugget that the person who's on the other side listening to, that's like, wow, game changer. And what you're telling us today is like, oh my God, like you said something, togetherness involves a feeling, you know,
Mhm.
and it's true, right? That's
Yes.
what you're doing. You are invoking a feeling with these parties, with these events, and that's amazing. Now,
Thank you.
where else do you invoke a feeling besides your business?
Oh, at home for sure. Home is really where my heart is. And sorry, somebody just walked in. Um, I love to be home. I love to cook. I love to cook and entertain. That is definitely something that I enjoy. And so there for sure. And I think in my friendships, I'm an only child. So in my friendships, I try to do that as well. I think just kind of about your presence and delivering some consistency all the way through with everything that you do, but that I would say at home for sure. Being a mother and a wife is my greatest achievement, and it really drives everything else that we do. And for anyone that doesn't know, we are a family owned business. So I work with my husband. Natalia, our 21-year-old daughter, works here too. She just walked into the office, which is what I heard. And there's a lot of great things that come with that, and a lot of family arguments that come with that, as you can imagine, but home is still where my heart is. So now I'm kind of wearing it in both places, home at work and home at home.
Yeah, yeah, it takes a village. You said that from the beginning of the
For
interview.
sure.
It takes a village, absolutely. And I understand that because my family, they own businesses, and I grew up actually working in the family business in the restaurants. And I remember as a little girl, I would have to because we didn't have nannies, if you will, but
Mm.
you would go to we would go to the restaurant, and I remember they'd have to work so late that sometimes we'd find ourselves in the restroom falling asleep, so it takes a village. You
It
got to
does.
do
It
what you
took
got to
us a long time to have a nanny and have help. And part of the reason that I didn't reach out was I felt guilty. And part of it was me thinking, well, what do I need that for? I don't need that. They're my children. We chose to have them. But the reality is, I think the weight that is on us now, and with how fast the world is moving and the responsibilities of anyone that has to deal with any kind of correspondence, right, or admin work, if you're in sales, whether you like it or not, you need to respond and be readily available. And if you don't, they're going to look for someone else. And so there's that weight on your shoulders. And I always want to be the first one in the office and the last one to leave, because that's how I like to work. So when it starts running to 6-7 o'clock at night, sometimes it's like, okay, Lori, you need to reevaluate. Are you doing your family a service? Are you doing yourself a service? It's okay to get some help. So then I just worked a little harder to make sure we could have someone help us. And it was a win all the way around. But, I keep going back to it. Like during COVID, it really taught us how much we can push ourselves, but also how nice it is to have the help again once we were able to kind of reopen a little bit and extend some further support in business and at home.
Yes, absolutely. You mentioning about COVID. Now I know that gatherings were hit there the hardest, the hardest.
Mhm. Very scary for us.
Yeah. Can you explain a little bit of what happened for you guys as at the wife of the party, and how
Well,
you had to jump?
we had to lay off some people, like most industries did. And I think, if you look back, even if you look back on your social posts, on Facebook, how it says, show you from a day before or a year before what your memories were. No one could have ever predicted how we all would have been impacted across the board. I mean, and events were something that were always going on. Someone's always getting married. Someone was always celebrating a birthday. And for them to come to a complete halt, aside from the obvious things that it slowed down, the cooks, the dishwashers, I mean, so many jobs. For us, one of the things that we do have under our umbrella is we do a lot of branding and influencer seeding. Which is putting the brand in the hands of people that have influence to obviously, get it out there, post about it. Not always big celebrities or big influencers. They call them macro influencers, where they're smaller numbers in their social media followings, and then they're growing as they grow, the brand grows with them. That became a very big thing. So during COVID, we were doing a lot of the packages at home and wellness kits that we were sending. And we kind of pivoted in that direction to help these brands still get their products out there, do digital virtual experiences, digital virtual DJ sessions. We did that with BH Cosmetics. We did a lot of fundraising with my friend Gina Sapanta and Mike Alder. They're attorneys, personal injury attorneys, and they were raising money for the hospitals. So for every viewer, they were donating $1 up to $25,000 per week. And then it became $50,000. And my husband was DJing for that, just to still let people see us. And that goes into a separate message, which is no matter what you're doing, I always tell people you have to talk about it and you need to let them see you. So even if you're not a big social media person, be consistent, because consistency speaks volumes, So we did a lot of that. And then we took some time to kind of, I think it was one full month where it was real quiet and kind of eerie. And then it was like, let's revamp the website. Let's work on categorizing things on the back end that we never get time to do. Let's clean up some of our templates for weddings and, XYZ. And so I gave the girls as much work as I could. And I was able to keep them on the entire time after that. But we still have a very large overhead, the warehouse and the trucks and the workman's comp. So my husband and I really didn't take a paycheck for the entire time. Now that things are opening back up and we're working, we couldn't be happier. We're very busy, but moving forward. And we just found a lot of busy work in small projects, and small projects are also what leads to big projects. They don't all have to be large scale.
Right, right. Absolutely. I completely agree with you, because it's like you said before, it's like the connection that you have with someone may lead you to something else, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
And a lot of people, they'll tell you, this isn't a big deal, but we have this gala next year, and it really does happen. And most of our clients have been with us for many, many years. We've gone from doing their bridal shower to the wedding, to the baby shower, to the first birthday. And all those people work at places, and it's word of mouth. And that is a really big win for us. And I'm thankful for those ongoing relationships, growing with these people, seeing them over and over, and being able to service them, knowing how they like things done, and being able to facilitate those responsibilities for them.
Oh, that's so gorgeous, so beautiful to hear this, because it's those relationships, literally, it's those relationships that keep you afloat and
It's
can
true.
keep you sane. Because
Yes.
this entire year has been the most craziest year, but at the same time the most blessed year, because it
Yes,
allowed us to really, really live a life of intention
for
as
sure.
right.
That we maybe wouldn't have ever in our lifetime had an opportunity to have. And I'm reminded by that constantly. I would have never had that much time to spend with my 3-year-old, ever. I mean, the older kids had more of me because I was younger and had less responsibility, but she wouldn't have had that from mom or dad. So what a blessing. I mean, truly, I can't, there's a lot of horrible things that happened during COVID. I'm not discounting that in any way. I mean, there was a lot of loss and a lot of lives lost and all of those things. And I'm not grateful for any of those things at all. Of course, I just want to be clear, but if we had to take the experience and make something positive of it, I'm thankful for exactly what you just mentioned.
Yeah, it's just so, I always say, I'm like, I know there's a lot of people out there who have suffered and continue to suffer, but at the same time, it's like, let's look at the bright side of it all. Our
And
planet
a
got
lot of people who did incredible work together. The way that people moved so quickly to work together and help one another within the community, seeing people like, I don't have food on these posts, and somebody saying, I'm going to drop some off to you, or support your local restaurants. The amount of support that people really pulled together for me was touching, because what would have happened if that didn't happen? We didn't even know we were capable of some of that compassion. And without that compassion, you don't have a lot of the success. So people really cultivated new relationships throughout. I think as a neighbor, as a community, as business, all of it.
Yes, absolutely, my friend. So, amiga, right before I let go my guests, I always ask my guests, and I'm asking you 1 or 2 tips on how an amiga can handle her shit.
Well, I think the first part is to speak it out loud. Like, hey, this is what I need to do today. I need to wake up and handle my shit, because and it's funny, today is a perfect example of that. My girls surprised me and had a surprise birthday party for me here in the office last night. It was amazing. My team, it was wonderful.
It's your birthday.
It was Saturday, and
Oh my God.
we worked. Everybody had to work. So they had this huge party here for me, and vendors came together, and it was wonderful. And I am not hungover today. I was very smart about it, but I was tired. And I had a bunch of admin work to catch up on because they kicked me out of the office yesterday. And it was one of those mornings where I was sitting there at 5 a.m, tossing and turning, and it was like kind of a, Lori, get up and handle your shit. Just get up, get the stuff off your mind, get the emails out, and then just get past it. I think that not procrastinating and just putting forth what you need to do every day. It sounds so much easier than it is, but make your lists and get it done. I'm a list checker. I have to physically have a written list, even though we use a lot of software to help us. I just need to write things down and get it done. And it's like my personal little nag to myself. I've got Post-its all over the place, everywhere.
Yeah, girl, I'm old school. I gotta write everything down.
Yes.
Completely. The days of putting it in your iPhone or I do it, but I really don't like doing it.
I have to see it. And it's funny, I wish you could see in our office, I'm sitting in our conference room, but I mean, I've got writing on every whiteboard, and it's sideways and it's upside down, but to handle your shit, you really have to be able to know how you work best. And I think that sometimes we're misguided or misled to do things the way someone else wants us to do them. And at work and everything, of course, there's superiors and people that you need to, we're all in different industries, right? It would never work if we just went off and did our own thing. But as an entrepreneur, you have to figure out what works and know what doesn't work, and then handle it from there. And I honestly think that's just starting with the basics. And I also think if you want to handle your shit well and even better, You need to learn from opportunities and make sure that you're always doing what you say, so that it makes it a lot easier to handle it later on when you have things that you need to get done. You know, that's a big thing that's important. And even for me, I do get busy and I try to keep up with things, and I'll miss something every now and then, because we do. And it makes me feel terrible. And then it makes me reevaluate how to handle that better, so that next time that does not happen again. You know, whether it's a missed phone call, missed opportunity, it's just important to always have a process and help you handle it.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, girl. I love that. Handling it all the time. For sure. And I love that you're old school like me, writing notes,
Yeah.
putting post-its. Like you should see what I do. My husband gets all crazy because I'm like, what's all this paper?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm like,
oh, me too. My daughter, she can't stand it. I'm like, let me write you a list, you know, when you're going to the store. And she's like, Mom, just text it to me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, but then if you don't write it down and you don't cross it off, you might miss something. And
exactly. I so love that. I love. And speak it out loud. Whatever you're going to do, speak it out loud. Handle it. Oh, love these tips. Thank you so much, Amiga. And I mean, I love the wife of the party. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, this girl is handling it for sure. I mean,
with a lot of help handling it. A lot of really great girls here that help every single day.
I'm excited. So I'm truly blessed and honored that you're here. You took the time to speak with me and give us all your tools, all your hacks in regards to what you do, and any woman amiga out there who is interested in party planning. Is there a site that they can look you up so that they can get inspiration maybe in the
I hope they find inspiration. I love that.
Of
We're
course.
working on our Pinterest creator page right now so that we can share a lot of our work with a different audience, because it's not necessarily one particular audience, but you can find us at www.thewifeoftheparty.com. So there's a the in front of it. And on Instagram, we're just at wife of the party. And my email is hello@thewifeoftheparty.com. And I always encourage people, if they have a question, to email me. We do get a lot of emails, and I try to get back to all of them. Last night for my party, there was a planner. Her name is Corey. And several years ago, I was about 4 years ago, she asked for me to have coffee with her. And I was really slammed, but I thought, how amazing, because I wish that I would have had someone to answer questions for me that I didn't even know that I had yet. So I made time, sat down. She came and sat with me and had a list of 10 questions that she was already ready for me, which made me feel valued, because she valued my time and was excited to talk. And I have followed and supported her ever since. And she showed up last night, drove from Irvine, brought flowers, and just told us all the good news about her business and how that conversation, sparked her to not be afraid to ask questions. And I think that is also a really big aspect of handling your shit. Don't be afraid to ask. If somebody doesn't get back to you, big deal. And it's not necessarily personal, so don't take it that way. There's a lot of collaborations right now. I think now is the best time to be different. Now is the best time to ask the questions. Now it's more accepted than ever. And there's enough work for all of us to go around. So sometimes it's a really simple question that can have a really big, impactful answer. And I'm happy to share any information or resources that I can with anyone that has questions. So if it's within my scope, I'm really happy to respond. I am terrible on DMs. I'm not going to lie. Email is my preferred method. I know it's old school, but it keeps me organized. What happens if something happens to my phone and I can't get back to you? And
Right. Yes, exactly. I always say, I'm like, okay, what about if they take down Facebook and they take down Instagram? At least you got your emails.
Yes, exactly.
Going back to old school is a good school. Let me tell you.
Right. Consistency.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. So much. I am so happy to have you here. And I know Amiga is out there. Please go check her out. She's amazing. She is a celebrity herself, because everybody goes to her for the party. So check out the wife of the party. I love this conversation. And thank you so much, Loriann, for being here with us.
Absolutely.